Past month, I've been reading manga for 1 hour every single day to learn Japanese. I started learning Japanese in December. I won't get into how I started, but now I know roughly 1,000 words. And I thought, what better way to learn Japanese than to just read every single day? So on the 11th of May, I set a goal to read for 1 hour every single day in Japanese. And it has to be manga because I like the manga. Could also be normal reading like Satori Reader or a book, but it was mostly manga to be honest with you. Let's talk about how much I improved, how much I read and what I read. Okay. How did I pick what to read? As a beginner, there's so many recommendations out there for manga. You have popular things like Yotsuba. But if you've read Yotsuba as a beginner, you'll know how much I would have struggled with it and how much you probably struggled with it in the beginning as well. It's quite a hard manga to read as your first one. So I used a website called Natively. Natively uses an ELO system like League of Legends or Overwatch to rate material like books and videos by how hard they are. So people rate them as difficulty and then it averages out and it tells you how difficult it is. And it breaks it down into N5, N4, N3, N2, and 1 levels, which are the JLBT levels. So N1 is like fluent, N5 is like beginner, but you can still speak a little bit. Using Natively, my first book I discovered was Suin Tai-chan or Suto Tai-chan in Japanese. It's a book about a really old cat called Su, who sort of like retired, very lazy, lives with a family, and then the family adopts a little kitten called Tai-chan. And Tai-chan's very hyperactive, the opposite of Su. And then Su is at first annoyed by Tai-chan, but then Su grows to love Tai-chan, and they become like BFFs, you know? It's super, super cute. From that book and that manga, I learned maybe 50 different ways to say meow in Japanese. I thought it was just like meow, Nyaa, like Nyan cat. But no, there's like so many ways to say meow. It's silly. I also learned how to speak kitten talk because Su speaks really old fashioned. So when you Google stuff, you'll be like, Google, like no one ever uses this anymore. That's because Su speaks like an ancient person. Tai-chan speaks like a little baby. So you get like no normal talk. When the adults talk to each other, there's some normal talk there, but the manga is mostly about the two cats, so there isn't much talk there. Once I read that, I moved on to graded readers really, which I should have started with, because graded readers are great. I googled tadoku.pdf, right? Which is like 800 pages in one single PDF of graded reader. It takes you from very, very beginner, where the very first word you learn is blue. I still remember that story. Then it takes you all the way up to more advanced stuff, around about, I see level 10, 12, tadoku.pdf all. And then after that, I got so bored, honestly. It was such a boring thing to read. Graded readers are so incredibly boring. And then in Tadoku, you'll find some of the stories are written by literal children for like competitions in their prefecture. And no offense, but I do not want to read children's writing when I'm learning Japanese. I want to read an adult writing. Children write very weirdly. I don't like it. And some of it's like handwritten stuff as well, I noticed, which is absolutely horrible to read. But it's a good place to start if you can't read anything at all. Then I moved on to Yotsuba. So Yotsuba is the manga everyone suggests you start with. It's for like a high N5 level, low N4 level. The issue with Yotsuba is that there's so much talking. I think the first one's very easy because it's mostly Yotsuba talking and she's a child. I'm reading Suto and Chai-chan, I could sort of understand child speak. But then as you progress into like volume 3, volume 4, the adults start to talk more and more and it becomes less about Yotsuba and more about a family dynamic, which I love because Yotsuba is a great like slice of life family dynamic and it's super, super funny. I love the scenes where Yotsuba pulls like a water gun out on her dad and she acts like a serial killer. Or like Yotsuba Cupid is so, so cute. I love the Yotsuba Cupid in the Yotsuba 2 manga. But Yotsuba was still quite hard for me. I really liked it, but the text was hard and it wasn't as engaging as I thought it would be. So then I moved on to another manga, which I found for Natively, called Happiness. A lot of people natively don't like Happiness. They say it's really boring, but I read it and I absolutely loved it. I loved it. It was my like holy grail. I read the first volume 1, in about 2 hours, which is crazy for me. It took me like 2 weeks to read a volume of Yotsuba. This is before the challenge. And now I can read a volume of manga in like an hour, 2 hours. One of the volumes I actually read over my lunch break at work, entirely in Japanese. I felt so like accomplished to be like, I've read an entire volume of manga. It's like 200 pages and now I'm back at work. That's how much I loved Happiness. I'm still reading it. It's gone harder towards the end, to be honest, because it talks more about cult stuff. So actually, firstly, Happiness is a manga about, I should have explained this earlier. Happiness is a manga about vampires, and it's got like very graphic panels in it. It's a lot of graphic stuff. It's like Twilight, but everything's more, like there's more like sexual stuff. There's sexual stuff in Twilight, but in Happiness there's more of it. And just like in Twilight, how there's like biting people and like fights and stuff, there's more of that in Happiness. It's like Twilight, but just more of everything, like more for adults, you know? And I really love the horror aspects. Junji Ito is one of my favorite manga authors ever, and I can't read his work because I tried, but I love horror. I love horror, and I think I like vampires, and I like Yuri, which is like lesbian stuff, like women loving women, you know, like romance but aimed at women, for women, and that's a little bit of that in there. I get that vibe. It's not entirely about it. It's mostly like men and women. There's some great like relationships there that I really enjoy. Towards the end, it goes into like cults and like gods, and there's some like really weird talk around this because obviously like as a beginner, I'm not going to know all the words for like cults and like different ways to drink blood or like different body parts. It gets really hard in my opinion, but the beginning's so much fun and I'm still reading it. So the next question you might have is, Autumn, how did you read this? Like you have this manga, but how did you read it? Because there's lots of different ways to read something actually in Japanese, and some ways are better than others. So I obtained the manga somehow, and digitally of course. I won't tell you how, but I managed to get them all in like images at least. In my country it's quite hard to get manga. I know lots of Americans are like, oh, I just order it from this website or this website. I've looked at British companies that do manga. None of them really exist. I'd have to order it from Amazon Japan. The digital is like much better for me. And digital lets me do lots of cool things. So a lot of the manga I had was really bad quality. So what I ended up doing was I ran it through Manga Jendai, which is like a convolutional neural network, which convolutional means images. And it upscales the image. So it goes from like really bad quality to an actually really good quality. And you notice this so much actually. I'd look at one pane and then look at another, and I could see major differences. It's really wild to me that we have AI that can like upscale images and videos, and you could go from like a bad quality to a good quality. It does sort of guess, I presume. It does some guesswork to guess what it should look like, but I've never seen any issues with it whatsoever. It takes a long time to run. It's so worth it in my opinion. It makes it so much better for me to read. Also, when you're learning Japanese, if you have bad manga panels, like it's not good quality, and you go to read it, the font is really horrible and it's really, really hard to read. So when I use Manga Jendai, I'm also upscaling the font, which is really important so I can actually read it. No offense to the authors, but please like use better fonts. It's really hard to read otherwise. Once I have the upscaled manga, I actually ran it for another program called Mercuro. Mercuro performs optical character recognition, so it reads the text on the webpage and then it turns it into clickable text. So I can highlight the text, right? And then I can look it up in a dictionary. So previously you would have to read the word and you'd have to rewrite it in your dictionary. And you may know that if it's kanji, which is one of the alphabets of Japanese, there's like 20 different meanings per word, readings, sorry. So one word can be spelled like 20 different ways. And if that's not told to you in the text, you won't be able to look it up in the dictionary, and it's expected that you know what that is. So using Kuro, I can just copy and paste it. And then sometimes a pro tip here is I copy the entire sentence and I post it to ChatGPT, and then I say, break this down. And then ChatGPT breaks it down step by step. And then sometimes it says like, it's using this reading because of this reason. So this helps me understand why that reading was used. Then finally, I use Yomitan. Yomitan's a pop-up dictionary. So when I use Mikuro, it gets me the text that I can click on and look up. I use Yomitan, and Yomitan automatically highlights the text, or when I choose to highlight a word, and then it looks up in a dictionary in the same screen. And then using Yomitan, if I think to myself, oh, this is a good word and it's a good sentence, I'm gonna put it into Anki, my flashcard app. So I put it into Anki, and then I can study it forever and ever. And I take a screenshot as well of the manga because it's really cute to see like Yotsuba or Happiness or like a manga I really enjoyed. And I go, oh, I remember that. That was a good scene. I like that. So how much did my Japanese improve? My reading improved so much, obviously. I think some of my listening improved as well, but reading was a lot. In English, I see sentences like, how are you? And in Japanese currently, I read a sentence and I go letter by letter. Then I go, okay, these letters here might mean this word. And this could be like a particle that connects the two. And they're like two different words here. But in English, I read like, how are you? And I don't read it letter by letter. And I don't go, okay, how is like implies this definition. You is like a personal pronoun for someone else. I go, how are you? And I go, okay, that's just asking the question on how somebody's doing. Like, I don't even process what I'm reading, you know? I read, how are you? And I instantly know straight off the bat what that means. And I've noticed that happens to me in Japanese sometimes too. Like, daijobu, which means like, how are you? Or like, good, really. Daijobu desu ka? Like, how are you doing? Are you good? I see these characters and my brain just instantly skips over it. And it goes, okay, I know what that means. I don't really need to like process that in my mind. And then I read some more and I go, wait a second. Did I just do that? Did I just not process that bit of text? And then I look at it and I go, no, I know what that means, but I just didn't read it because I saw the characters in like the right order. And I do this to English all the time. And I love that I can do it to Japanese now for some things, not future maybe, but right now, not all of it. A conclusion, will I continue reading 1 hour a day? Absolutely not. It really sucked a lot to find the time to read 1 hour a day because if I woke up later in the morning, I wouldn't be able to read as much. So I'd maybe read 10 minutes. And then because I read on my desktop, I'd have to switch over my monitors from my work laptop because I work from home. I'd have to switch my work laptop to my desktop. And people still ask me questions during lunch. When I'm on call as well for some of this period. So some of this period I was working over lunch. And then at night, I have sometimes hang out with friends and it's like, I got to go home now to spend 1 hour reading. And it was really stressful when it was like 11 p.m. and I had to read it till midnight. And reading for a time there, my brain glossed over so much stuff. After maybe 40 minutes straight of reading, I would be like completely blank. I'd go, okay, I don't care anymore. I'm so tired. I can't do this. Reading in a foreign language really hurts my brain. It was very good for me, but it hurt a lot. And I had to plan my days around when I'd read as well. I really like made plans with friends and I'd have to be like, okay, you want to go for coffee right now? Could you go for coffee in an hour and a half after I'm done reading? And I think tracking reading is important. I track all my Japanese learning because it's fun and it's interesting for me to see. And it'll be interesting in like 5 years when I talk about this. But I think setting a limit to read, a goal to read 1 hour a day is way too much for me. So I'm just going to read for fun when I feel like it. Challenge was over yesterday. So today I've read some of Happiness because I wanted to. I've only read like 20 minutes before work. And that's probably all I'll do, to be honest with you. Like I will read, but I won't read for 1 hour a day. My next challenge will probably be to watch video, like anime for 1 hour a day, or even like listening practice, because I have my GLBTN 5 next month. Hey, Autumn from the future here. I realized I've forgotten some stuff I thought I'd tell you. Maybe we'll see this clip throughout the video. But firstly, I use Makuro Reader instead of just reading Makuro files. Makuro Reader lets me take screenshots easier for Anki. So my flowchart for manga is I obtain the manga somehow, then I upscale it with Manga Janai, then I Makuro it so I can select the text. Then once I have this, I put it into Makuro Reader, which lets me read the manga. And then I read it with Yomitan, and when I see a word I don't know, I use Yomitan the dictionary, and then I put it into Anki if I want to, and then I study the Anki flashcard. And that's like my flow chart right there. That's a very typical flow chart for someone learning Japanese and loves technology. Did I read every single day? Kind of. There were some days where I only did 59 minutes, because I'm not going to read like 1 minute more of manga, come on. Like, that's like two words for me. And there are some days near the start where I didn't read for an hour long. I only read for like half an hour. But I still tried the challenge for the whole month. I still tried to read 1 hour every single day for the whole month. And I did that for about 98% of it. You'll see in the toggle. My biggest achievement has been reading 1,000 pages. I nearly read 2,000 pages in May. Most of it was Happiness. I remember when I read 1,000 pages of Happiness, I felt so great. Like I could read 1,000 pages in Japanese in a month. I don't think I could even do that in English. I mean, I could, but if I really pushed myself, I could. But I just don't do that because I can't read 1,000 pages in a month in English. I can barely read like 200 pages of English text. Maybe that's because the English stuff I'm reading is really hard compared to Japanese stuff. And it's mostly manga, which is just pictures really. Maybe I could do it for comic books or webtoons. So how much did I really progress in Japanese? It's kind of hard to say because the way my Anki is set up is I only do the most frequent words. So the words I see a lot in the manga, I probably won't see for a while. Like vampire, I'll probably set like next year. But I feel like I really progressed a lot. I went up maybe 400 more mature words in Anki, so I know an extra 400 words. And I feel so much more confident reading. Even if it does suck sometimes, I feel very confident reading. And when I read things, my brain is so much like, okay, this means that. And I'm like, how do you know that, brain? You haven't even like broken that down. You haven't read it letter by letter yet. You don't know this. And my brain's like, no, trust me, it means this. And then I put in ChatGPT and I'm like, ChatGPT, what does this actually mean? Could you break it down? And then my brain's like, told you so. I knew it meant that. You should trust me. And I think that's the biggest benefit I've seen so far from reading. And currently future me is still reading Happiness, by the way, because I'm currently future me after the challenges are done. I'm still reading Happiness, not for an hour a day. I read, I think, half an hour today before work, and then I read 20 minutes yesterday. You know, a little bit here and there. I mostly watch anime, to be honest with you. Do I think you should do the challenge? Absolutely. If you think reading Japanese is going to help you, you should do it. And you should start with graded readers and then move on to easy manga and natively. And please follow me on natively, I'd love that. And I think that's it for this video, actually. Like and subscribe and let me know if you want more Japanese content. I don't normally make Japanese content, I normally make cybersecurity content. If you're in the Venn diagram of software engineers who study cybersecurity, I am your girl. I know a lot about that and I will make videos for you on what I know about it. Okay, thank you, bye!